Hello again, friends and family. We are coming to you live on our Facebook page, LinkedIn page, and YouTube channel. If you and I have never met, I'm Clarissa Constantine. I'm the founder of the Parent Tween Connection. And our mission here is to create a community for parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, mentors, teachers, advisors, all of the folks who support teens and tweens, all the village people, as I like to call them, in the village that it takes to raise a child. Now, it's one thing to connect folks for moral support, but sometimes moral support isn't enough. And we need to bring in professionals who have specific experience and expertise in areas that can help our kids. And I'm super excited to introduce you to one of our newest trusted experts, Scott Feld of MindZen Motion. Scott, welcome to the team.
And I love that. I hadn't heard that, village people. That's the coolest.
Yeah, I mean, I use it loosely because it is probably, trademarked or copyrighted or something. That's why I say the proverbial village people.
I love it.
But
that's so cool.
So when I first met Scott, I loved his energy just as an individual. We met in a networking group that we host here at Parent Tween Connection, and I finally got a chance to chat with him one-on-one. And holy cow, Scott, I was blown away by number one, the personal development path that you've undertaken yourself. You have acknowledged, like, hey, there's been some challenges in my life, and I took it upon myself to just basically do everything I could to show up as the best Scott that I could. And you've had a successful entertainment business, and now you're combining both of them for kids. Give us the more in-depth, but still TLDR version of what's your background? How did you get to create MindZen Motion?
Yeah, thank you so much for that awesome introduction, first of all, and it is great to be here. I feel the same way about you, Clarissa. So awesome. Great energy. Yeah, I mean, I could go back to the story, of my own childhood, and, who I serve is related to my childhood, and I'll connect that a little bit, which is just basically, it's like usually when somebody says that, they're about to tell a sad story. And really, I'm about to say, I had a great childhood. Like, we had money and I got a lot of stuff and didn't have to work too hard for too much. And my parents were nice, there was no violence, there was no abuse, none of that. And then, I still found myself, kind of wandering away and looking for, ways to belong, ways to be accepted, quick excitement, quick feelings of, of goodness. And so that included, like many, kids who are a little bit lost like that, you got your drinking, you got some drugs, you got some not completing things that you're out to complete because you don't have inside of you that how to grow something, how to build something, because stuff was given to you, right? I didn't know all of that. I became very aware of that as I studied personal development. I became somewhat obsessed with it. Even as a teenager, I was reading stuff, but I think it was kind of going into my subconscious, but it wasn't actionable yet because all the other stuff, like the parties and all the fun, was stronger in my mind, right? But it was kind of going in there. And then I found myself going to different churches, and then I found myself reading like personal development books is what they would kind of call them, growth books. And then I went to a course, and then I went to the whole curriculum of this course, and then I went to the year-long intensive, which was basically like Navy SEAL boot camp for the soul, is kind of like what it was for the mind and soul, right? Kind of tear you down so that you can build yourself up, sort of philosophy. And then I began coaching in that program. And then I studied and did other intensive programs and on and on. To this day, you'll never catch me in my car. I won't say never, but 99% of the time, I'm listening to some audible, some recording of something that it comes from some genre of personal development. And for me, it's an obsession. It absorbs into my mind at all times. So that's the connection of my childhood and my journey up to doing the personal development. Now, as a job, I started a company 25 years ago called Extreme Fun, and that is an interactive party company here in San Diego. And it's very popular. We did parties for local celebrities, and, Jenny Craig and I DJ. So Jenny
Okay.
Craig and I were dance partners sometimes. I mean, it was cool, right? We did cool things. We met some professional athletes and all of that. And I love doing that. And the reason I started that is I was always told I was so good with kids. I taught them swimming. I taught karate at one point. I had taught it after school programs. I was like, I got to make this my own thing. I had an entrepreneur spirit. So I was like, I got to make this my own thing. I've never wanted to go, oh, thanks, I'm good with that. Let me go get a job in that. I was like, let me
Right.
create something, right? And so that's what I would do. And I created Extreme Fun. And what I wanted to do about 3 years ago is I wanted to really take this personal development that I was absorbing and that I had coached more on a volunteer level. And I wanted to combine that with fun, right? Because I now looked back at my own journey and I went, a lot of the kids that I know that I see, because I live in a upper middle class area with my own 7-year-old son. And the kids that I see, they're me. Like, they have a lot of stuff. They ask for it. And I mean, they don't get everything, but they don't get it. And I can see they're not building the muscle that I was unaware I wasn't building, which was the one where you have to work for something to understand, like, how to keep going and get past obstacles and challenges and all of that kind of stuff. So I wanted to serve that group, right? And I wanted to serve the age group. And this is how we're connected, where I thought it could be an empowerment vitamin. Because I remembered 9, 10, 11, 12 wasn't when I strayed. It was when I started considering straying, right? And then when you got to high school, then that consideration turned into, oh, there's all these opportunities to stray away.
Absolutely, there are.
Yeah. And it may even start even a little bit younger than we're even talking at this time. But I like the kind of that 9 to 12-year-old age group, because I have found, because I've coached many of them now, that we can empower them. This is where they go, oh, I have a choice. I can think and act this way. I don't have to just accept whatever comes at me, right? And just because things are given to me doesn't mean I can't set my own goals and set my own course of action and build my own muscles, right? I can do this. I have the power to do this. And in fact, had I told my parents I was going to do that, I think they'd have fallen over, right? They'd be like, you're going to, wow, right? And then their next thing would have been, well, what can we do for you? And I'd be like, no, you missed the point. But, like, how can we help you make that happen? No. Well, so that's what I want them to know. But again, coming from my background, it has to be fun. I mean, This is a 9 to 12-year-old age group. They like to play. So I wanted to make sure that I added interactive activities, interactive games, that kind of stuff. So I created this thing called the Power Bag. I don't know if I have one sitting next to me, but the Power Bag has like Play-Doh and kinetic sand and power glasses and inner mirror and all sorts of different things. So every time that we do an exercise, whether it be live or recorded, they pull out their Power Bag prop. And like, if we're talking about imagination and Play-Doh, then they get to like imagine what they want to create with their Play-Doh, and then they get to create it. And right there, their brain sees, doesn't just hear, their ears don't just hear, but their brain sees them turning something into whatever it is they thought of right in front of their face. And that's a big deal for the brain because it builds a pathway for that. But it's in play, right?
Yep.
And in kinetic sand, when we draw the lines in there and we give ourselves positive power talk and we see ourselves ingraining that, our brain sees us ingraining that. And that's how our brain works, is that we ingrain those neural pathways, those trails that we're going to use most often, that we're going to go to. So if we can study and hear and learn about how to have positive self-talk, which we call superpower thinking, right?
Yeah.
Another kind of kid term, just kind of showing all the ways that,
It's so good, because so much of the personal development, the coaching, the life coaching, the business coaching, those are things that we don't necessarily start exploring until we're adults. Like pretty much any business owner, I can't say any, many business owners that I know have coaches, and we won't go a day without them, because we know we don't know everything. We don't know all the ins and outs of things. And so we have those people to kind of help, in some ways be the bumpers on the bowling alley, right? But sometimes also the people who really spark our belief in ourselves and validate our beliefs in ourselves. many kids will get that in an athletic environment, but they don't necessarily get it the way that you bring it with as much play. And I love the fact that you use the term edutainment. So
Right.
I know that you have programs that you can offer in person and virtually one-on-one with students, or like sometimes I know you've done it two-on-one, like if you have siblings maybe, or you work with siblings back to
Yeah.
back. You
Yep.
also have power parties where you can work with a group of kids together in person and virtually. I know you've told me you've even done this with groups of kids out in Australia, and you're awake at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning working with them virtually, which is super cool. I
Yep.
know you have a new hybrid program that you're
Mm-hmm.
testing. Talk to me about
Yeah.
that, and what do folks want to know about it?
Well, it's such a good segue because I'm going to segue it strangely, unexpected, because you were talking about like even business people having coaches, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we don't go a day without them because we can't see or know everything. The hybrid program is in a beta and it's recorded. I've spent a lot of time recording all of my trainings inside my Power Quest, putting
Mm-hmm.
in all the activity sheets, putting everything. And once a week, you go on a live call with me and you get to ask questions and we
Mm-hmm.
get to talk about some of the things that you've learned. So I'm asking the kids who are doing this, I'm giving this huge discount, this 90% discount, which makes it less than $100. It just covers costs. I'm asking the kids to be my coaches because I can't see everything. And I
Sure,
need them to
absolutely.
show me that was good. Oh my gosh, that was great. I didn't get that. I didn't, what was that? I can make tweaks and changes before I send this out to mass. So I'm offering to people to come in, right? But it's a limited number to come in at this 90% discount to come teach me, to show me. But here's the thing, it's been proven live. So it's not like you're getting something and going, like, what is this? This is what's been proven live. So your
Mm-hmm.
kids are going to be empowered by it. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to get things from it, right? And so they help me. I help them. We work together. I was on a call this morning already with two kids and their mom who had just signed up for this beta thing with me. The
Uh-huh.
two kids are 13 and 10. And I talked to them about it. And at the end, I said, will you be my business partners? Will you help me? And I go, let's shake hands. And we virtually did our handshake and we agreed
Awesome.
we were business partners for what we're up to. This is
Uh-huh.
important and it's on purpose. Not only will they get empowered, not only will they help me, but just that right there is the confidence build. It's like I'm
It
involved
is.
in something. I'm involved in something, right? And I'm going to take this on, and they'll take it on a little bit more seriously with a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
energy and effort than just being like, hey, mom just handed me a course, right? So
Right.
so that's what that is. So it's a hybrid and it's out.
So I know you and I have talked a lot that people are always interested in like, okay, but what does the other side look like, right? Like we're looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like
Mm-hmm.
what's the end result going to be? So like if let's talk about there was one family I know that I actually had the privilege of meeting where mom had had a pretty significant health scare. And as she was navigating it, one of her kiddos um, was having some really significant challenges himself. I mean, he was maybe what, 7 or 8 at the time and
Mm-hmm.
faced too early with the possibility of his mom's mortality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes.
he was very very attached, I think is probably a fair way of putting it. What
Yes.
kind of outcome or what kind of confidence boosting, how did that present for him through time, and what can parents expect from this the hybrid?
Yeah, I mean, so that particular kid did a one-on-one power quest with me, so it was
Mhm,
extremely individualized to what he was
mhm,
going through, but we used all the same tools, all the same trainings. So for him, the result of it, and this is what the mom told me and wrote up, was that he is now so confident. He'll go, like it was grandma's house he wouldn't sleep over at to give mom and dad a night off. He'll ask to go. Having a friend sleep over was okay. He was in a safe place, but he could not get himself to go sleep over at a friend's house. He'd done that many times. He made the plan, right? So this is coming from like he wouldn't step, like I couldn't step 5 feet away from him without him being like, Mom, where are you going? Right?
right.
Because of the scare. And so That's a really big deal. Her response, because I'm not in their everyday thing, was that it changed their family forever. Like it changed their family dynamic, how they're able to operate, what they're able to do. And that's incredibly, incredibly huge. Before him, his older brother did the same Power Quest individually. He was not confident, and his confidence grew to such a level that he made some teams that he hadn't made, tried out, and then made the teams that he couldn't even see himself doing. And that's all it takes oftentimes. And it's just proof that it starts with the thinking to get into action. And once you get power inside your thinking, which is what my course does, then you can go out and do things that used to sit inside of a comfort zone. That comfort zone explodes, you blow it away. It's not even close. Like I told the kids this morning, I said, one of the things that's going to happen is the things that used to scare you, that fear that used to show up, you're going to punch it in the nose and it's going to run away. They like that, right? And punch it in the nose and run away. But you can visualize this fear monster, right? Coming in, punch it in the nose, and it's like, you're stronger than the fear is what it shows, right? You have more power than the fear. Yeah.
And just talking with you, Scott, like every time I chat with you, I can't wait to actually watch you in action with a group when I get that opportunity, or with, if I get to be like the fly on the wall, because just things like that, like you're going to punch it in the nose and it's going to run away. Like you have such a manner that I knowing that age range, I can totally see how well you connect with them.
Thank you.
So anybody who's watching, you can find more information, a short intro to Scott on our website at parent-tween-connection.com. He's listed on the Trusted Expert members. You can also go directly to mindzenmotion.com. Is that right? Did I remember it?
That's true. Yes.
And in case you're not watching it, it's MindZen Motion. Albeit when you say it quickly, it's like Minds in Motion, which I love because it's taking what's inside and bringing it outside. So awesome.
Yeah.
So I cannot recommend Scott enough. The opportunity that I've had a chance to get to know him and recognize just a little bit of a peek behind the curtains in Oz, so to speak, like seeing the power bag and all of the tools and how he uses them with the kids. It's got to be it's so powerful for them. And I know that you love doing it. So I'm excited to grow with you and see how this hybrid goes. Definitely anybody who's interested in that program, take a look and reach out to Scott. Scott, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Clarissa, so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.